Beyond the snowy valley of the hidden dinosaur, in the ashen steep, lies a strange and mysterious land, home to Garnock's Fury, the only volcano in all of Jorvik. Ash rains down and sulfur smoke seeps from the ground. This mysterious place is located in the top right corner of the map of Jorvik. The barren land has only one small, slightly ominous cottage, with yellow light pouring from the windows. The ground is covered in dead leaves and ash, and the sky is clouded with a smoky haze. This is the fabled Ashland, a forbidden area that is yet to be explored. Or is it? Well, now that we've got the intro over with, let's rewind a little. Okay, that's better. Let's start at the very beginning. On November 19th, 2014, the Valley of the Hidden Dinosaur, commonly known as Dino Valley, was released, a cold, snowy location where it was always winter. Alongside the creation of Dino Valley was the creation of Ashland, which seemed the complete opposite of Dino Valley, as Ashland was a hot, smoky land behind Dino Valley. But this wasn't the only difference. Ashland wasn't released. However, like Dino Valley, it was an area that was new to players, considering it wasn't part of the original Jorvik games, like Starshine Legacy and the Season Riders. Though it was mentioned in the early quest for Nick Stoneground, the daring adventurer who had rediscovered Dino Valley. The player had to explore and map the valley for Nick's expedition. Based on the dialogue, it seemed that Star Stable was hinting at a release of Ashland not too far away. The player would travel far up the icy main road in Dino Valley, across a broken bridge, and to the rocky Ashen Steep. But the player was only to discover that the entrance to Ashland was blocked by a pile of snow and rock, just like the entrance to Dino Valley had been before it became accessible. In fact, when the entrance to Ashland was approached, a mysterious message would appear, saying, "The road to Ashland is blocked." The player would ride back to Nick Stoneground after mapping the area, and was provided with an explanation. What was this unreachable area? Nick explained to the player that this was the unexplored Ashland. He said, "Beyond the Ashen Steep is an area known as the Ashland. The area got its name because it always rains ash there, and sulfur smoke always seeps out of the ground. The northern part of Ashland is dominated by a huge volcano called Garnock's Fury. It has been active since time immemorial. The Ashen Steep is called so because the rain of ash and sulfur from the Ashland above falls down onto the unusually white snow. It is said that the volcano represents the exact point at which the asteroid that created Jorvik struck. It doesn't quite match with the geologists' theories after they mapped the mountains, but you can never be totally certain. The asteroid may have been in parts when it hit. It may have hit the Earth at a strange angle, or maybe the crater is much larger than we think. The Valley of the Hidden Dinosaur is only a small part of a much larger crater formation. Future explorations will hopefully clarify it for us." Ashland, a location with so much potential for adventures and lore, and so much mystique and curiosity surrounding it, just sat there for a while. This brings me to the next chapter of the story of Ashland. Players began glitching or climbing into this unreleased area as early as 2015. At least, that's the earliest that I could find a video of someone going into Ashland. These daring players were greeted with smoky air, a volcano, and a solitary cottage, and not much else, other than a slightly creepy message that would appear when in Ashland. "This area isn't safe enough to be accessible. Head back to the road." For years, there was little going on in Ashland, aside from the border between Ashland and Dino Valley being opened, allowing players to climb in, or closing it up and patching those glitches from time to time. At one point, an SSO employee even said Ashland was a placeholder area that was never going to be released. However, this doesn't seem to be true, because of the amount of times that Ashland has been randomly mentioned over the years, and even a few updates have been made. Specifically, the ground was updated to have the fallen leaves texture that Golden Hills Valley has, as well as the removal of the twisty, rock formation-y, dead tree-looking things, or whatever you want to call them. I don't know what those were supposed to be, so if you know what they were, let me know in the comments. Are they geysers or mini volcanoes? Or I don't know. Anyway, Ashland was also once mentioned in a mysterious fortune told by the Pandorian ringmaster Yidris. Yidris? I don't know. What's the proper pronunciation for him? I've heard a lot of different ones. Anyways, it was also mentioned many times during special events, like Star Stable's birthday and the Rainbow Festival. During the Rainbow Festival in the Cloud Kingdom, over the past few years, players have been able to read the journal of Micah Stoneground, the niece of Nick Stoneground, who loves adventure just as much as her uncle. The journal, on display for all to see, reads, Micah's Musings, The Stoneground Expedition Part 1. Would you believe me if I told you there were corners of Jorvik yet to be discovered? What if I said these corners are closer than you think? Not someplace halfway across the island, but a horse's stride away from somewhere you might call home? This week, my Uncle Nick and I have been exploring Dino Valley. We came across a winding road at the base of a rocky mountain, leading to lands yet known. I could smell the sulfur in the air, see smoke rising in great plumes into the snowy sky. I knew whatever lay beyond was treacherous and more extraordinary than I could ever imagine. I turned to my Uncle Nick, eager to continue, but he looked at me with a solemn face and only had one thing to say. The road to Ashland is blocked. Another mention of Ashland arrived when the magical dragon horses, Faramar and Aldrach, I don't know if I pronounced that right either, were released in August of 2021. Star Stable posted an article about them and the horses' backstory on their website. The website stated that a down-on-her-luck apprentice stable hand left the safety of home and stable to seek her fortune. Through trials and tribulations, she made her way to the very heart of Jorvik, beyond the fabled Ashlands, into the crater of Garnock's Fury. The young hero returned with 2 impossibly large gems. Thinking her fortune made, she headed home to present her treasures to the queen, but before her audience, the gems split open, revealing a pair of scaly dragons. In the blink of an eye, the dragons transformed into majestic horses. Called in to present her gift to the queen, the girl had nothing to give but a fantastic tale and 2 seemingly ordinary horses. Ashland was mentioned in the Halloween event as well. In Galloper's Keep, one of the Halloween activities is to locate soul shards to help the ghosts find peace. The ghosts tell their stories, and one ghost, the secretive ghost's soul shard, was located at the roadblock of Ash Road. The ghost stated, "This place resembles a keep? Everything is not as it seems, young one. If this is a keep, where did it come from? Why does it fly? Why does the cauldron in its center boil to the beat of a living heart? I once tried to make my way to the one place I thought I would find absolute truth, the heart of the island itself, the Ashlands. I would have made it too, if it hadn't been for that infernal roadblock. I couldn't muster the energy to turn back, but the road wouldn't open. You, seeker of truth, might reclaim my soul shard there." This quote seems to indicate that Ashland is the very center of Jorvik, where it all started, thus making it an extremely important location in the game. It is also referred to as the place where the ghost thought they could find absolute truth. I can definitely imagine some interesting lore and main quests coming from this. Perhaps battling a dragon or journeying to Garnock's Fury. So, if Ashland is never going to be released, then why does Star Stable keep seemingly teasing it and intertwining it with the characters and events in the game? This brings me to one of the most interesting hints at a release of Ashland that Star Stable has ever made, and one that I rarely see anyone talking about. Recently, for Star Stable's birthday, guided tours of areas in the game were created, and were a great opportunity for players to learn more about the lore of the game. In Dino Valley's guided tour, one stop on the tour was the Ashland Steep, and the tour guide said, "Now we've reached the true limits of explored Jorvik. Beyond this road sits the fabled Ashlands, inside the caldera of Garnock's fury." Some intrepid equestrians have posted to YourTube what they claim to be footage shot inside this smoldering location. However, experts have debunked this footage as fake. Yeah, nice try, SSO. Because if it was authentic, surely the area would include a home stable and a faction shop. This is interesting for several reasons. Firstly, Star Stable is, again, acknowledging Ashland as official lore in the game. Secondly, they are claiming the footage players have posted of Ashland is fake, which may mean that Star Stable is thinking about updating and releasing Ashland, wanting to disassociate players' view of Ashland from what it looks like currently, before being updated and released. Thirdly, and arguably the most interesting point, is how Star Stable says that if the footage was authentic, Ashland would have a home stable and shops. Well, currently, the closest home stable to Dino Valley is the one in Valedale, and it would make sense for there to be another home stable closer to the valley. And, of course, this could be Ashland. Star Stable going out of their way to put this possibility out there and get players' hopes up could mean that Star Stable is thinking of releasing Ashland along with a home stable and shops. Though, on the other hand, Star Stable is known for teasing things that still haven't come, and getting players' hopes up for things they never actually release or take a long time to release. Another interesting development is that in mid-2023, patches of the ground in Dino Valley were invisible, which often happens when an area nearby is being worked on. Could this mean Star Stable is working on an updated Dino Valley, and when Dino Valley is updated, Ashland will be released alongside it, or that Ashland is being worked on? Another fact I found interesting is that during the winter event this past year, as well as the year before, snow has come to Jorvik, including Ashland, even on the volcano. So make of that what you will, though this may be just because every area of Jorvik is automatically covered in snow, even the ones that are unreleased. Mystic Valley was also covered in snow. Also, the Ashland Steep was a location for one of Catherine's memories. This could indicate Ashland being important in the main quest someday, as Catherine Morland is an important character in the main story. Players have their own share of theories about Ashland as well, of course. One person thought the cottage in Ashland might be the one that the girl who discovered the dragon horses lived in, while another thought Sabine might come from Ashland, as Katya is thought to come from the Valley of the Hidden Dinosaur. It's very interesting to me how Star Stable mentions Ashland every few months, seemingly randomly intertwining it with the lore of the game. I think this means that Ashland is not a placeholder or an abandoned area, but somewhere that is canonically part of Jorvik, and that Star Stable intends to release someday, whether that day is soon or years away. But until the rocks and snow are cleared from the Ashland Steep, us players will be left curious to wonder and theorize about this mysterious land.